Hi, have you used ChatGPT? Well, that's dangerous. It will take your job very soon, and AI is what will destroy humanity. Do you really believe such people? I hope not. In this video, we'll discuss the fundamentals and take a deeper dive in the subject. So, how the LLMs work? In this video, we are going to discuss about the fundamental concepts behind. A description in depth would take really too long, but it's good to have an idea anyway. Well, can we have an artificial brain? For real? No, absolutely not. A model is simply something that can predict based on some training. I can match probabilities. Simple as that. Nothing more. But what happens when I insert a prompt in ChatGPT? Well, I send text, but then the text is binarized, translated into numbers to make it easy. I have something that calculates probabilities, I have more numbers, and an output text. This is a bird's eye view, but let's say that if my output text is close enough to reality, it seems is a real brain. And that's the illusion of artificial intelligence. Anyway, how can we speak to a computer? Let's talk a bit more in depth about it. Let's say that we have just three words: good, bad, and ugly. Okay? That's all the vocabulary that we have. We can translate into embeddings. Okay? The representation of the word with a vector. What is a vector? Simply three, like this table, made with one row. 1, 0, 0 is good, bad is the opposite, and ugly is 1 in the middle. I can represent this mathematically with arrows, okay? Good, bad, ugly, okay? This is three-dimensional space. The old math that we were learning at high school comes back, useful. So, the numbers are then fed to a PC. It processes them with what is called a neural network. Is it a neuron? We will see. Anyway, you can read more about word embeddings, text vectorization in some other links. I will add them in the description. But let's see then how we can get probability from a vector. Well, the input is a numerical values that represent some data. You remember, for example, good is 1, 0, 0. And it gets fed to this representation of a neuron. I can call it like that. Notice that the perceptron, the first numerical representation of learning, what we call today machine learning, the brain that we say, was invented in 1958. So, long time ago, way before ChatGPT, people had this idea. Nothing really so new. Output is a numerical value that represents a prediction. Say that we have an input, whatever word, and is that word related to cat or dog? 0 is cat, 1 is dog. Okay? Most probably, we can tune this calculation to get 0 or 1. Nothing else than table multiplication. We can have also here an in-depth introduction to mathematics behind, but this is not the time. Right, What has this to do about LLMs? Well, in the same way, we can use the mechanism that I just illustrated to predict the word that will come next from a sentence. Okay? For example, Marseille heart is the vieux. Everybody has already guessed. Okay? I pass this, I binarize it, so I make it into numbers. I feed this to this network, and I get another vector that will match a word, okay, which in case is port. Simple. Of course, this is the general idea. What is the architecture that allows this? Architecture that you will hear is the GPT architecture. So, generative pre-trained transformer. What is a transformer? Well, is this. An ensemble of encoding, process the initial text sequence, prediction, and here we have something called attention. We will see later on. Normalization, feed forward, let's not get too in depth, okay? This is really mathematics of neural network. And then we can have the decoding task. So the output that we, in this case, in the previous slide was dog, for example, and this tracks prediction. Or we can use it also for classification. That's another thing we will not get into in this video. But what is attention? That was the big game changer, okay? Importance coefficient. Again, nothing intelligent. It's simply a number that we add to another numbers. Marseille heart is the vieux. Well, we give the importance. Marseille is very important. Heart, important word that helps us guess. Vieux, again, important, is the not so important, okay? Attention coefficient. These two help. And we can represent it like a longer vector or a longer arrow represented by that 0, 1, 1, that what we saw before. We are getting really into basic math. Matrix vectors are nothing else than little tables that we saw from elementary school. So, how do we build a sentence? We enter the prompt, predict the next token, can be just the next word, but also 2 or 3 words. We call it token, okay? Like token that you use to play. Then we have a new sentence. We predict the next, and so on. Token, as we say, is a chunk of text, okay? And is very similar to like a linear regression, what you predict from a series of points. From this and this I predict this, from this and this I predict this, and so on. Of course, oversimplified, okay? But this is as intelligent as having a linear regression, what we did from the time of undergraduates at school. By the way, can I make my GPT, a little ChatGPT with a transformer? Of course, was done many times already. Here I have a link as an example. I will also add it in the description. That's a very interesting video that I advise to watch on YouTube, much longer than this one, with just an introduction. But very possible. You can learn how this really works in depth by coding it yourself. Recently, so a couple of weeks ago from when this video was made, you heard, I can now generate an image from sound. OpenAI just came out with GPT-4o, which stands for Omni. Again, very similar mechanism. I can translate with that those neural networks sound to text. Text can get to generated text, and then translated into image. very similar to what we already discussed. Of course, architecture is much more complex, but at the end is nowhere near a human brain. So don't think that we invented a brain, okay? As a conclusion, yeah, indeed, there is no brain replication. Text, as we've seen, is translated into numbers and represented by vectors. What is that? Simply the row of a table. You can think it like that. Calculation from these number tables gets the next most probable text chunk, either few words or just one word. And as we just seen, other data format can be converted to text so that we can allow the LLMs to predict those as well. So we generate maybe not a text, but an image. Well, there is only one way to get saved from AI. Subscribe the channel.